treating it like a threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well. Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Wanna be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Sponsors taken care of right off the top. Bull, Bitcoin, and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow
quality entertainment and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some stats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies. Trump administration making a play on privacy, maybe. The Patriot Act for digital assets. We'll talk about that tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk. And, of course, the now famous or infamous line, I don't know, Hamilton man versus Brampton man. What's going on? How the heck are you doing?
Yeah, I got another one of those, Joey, because people seem to love that segment of the show. And this weekend, I think it's going to be a good one. You probably guess it right off the bat, just given the contestants. But still, the two stories, I think they're pretty darn good. And it probably highlights exactly what's going on in more so one of the two cities.
Okay.
You can probably guess which one of the two.
I'm positive I can. Yeah.
Right? Like, you don't have, do I have to go any further? I can just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
That city just keeps, it's a gold mine, right?
And it keeps on giving. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we have like, well, what can I say? Even there was another, like, I'm not sure who the heck was the culprit, but apparently a 74-year-old dude was run down a few people on the sidewalk yesterday afternoon.
Just saw.
And I don't know exactly who is behind the wheel.
I mean, the guy's name, it's like I thought I just saw it on Twitter like an hour ago.
Is it similar to others, or
I think it's not 100%, but I think it's definitely possible that it's part of our favorite demographic here. Our content continues to roll on because of people like this. So I don't want to jinx it, but I think it is that guy. Obviously, we wish these people who passed away the best. I just saw it. I happened to see it on Twitter. I mean, obviously, Twitter knows what I like. It feeds me the same stuff every time. So yeah, nothing new there. Let's talk about the sponsors. Easy DNS, the best place for you to basically do everything. Like, what does Mark not do? He will host your website for you. He just actually tweeted about how it doesn't matter what political stripe you are, just because the teams seem to have changed priorities. He's still not going to take anyone down. He's got all the Bitcoin stuff you need with the virtual private server options, Bitcoin nodes, Nostr relays, you name it, you can do it there. And maybe most importantly, Len, Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Yeah, he takes Bitcoin for his services as well. For a couple extra bucks, you get extra security, domain share, easy mail, among other things. There's always people looking to grab your data, grab your customers' data. Why would you let them? Just use Mark and do it properly. Do it securely like we do. And you'll be happier that way. And you'll be glad you did. So go there, use the promo code CBP Media, get 50% off your first round of buys.
Didn't Trump famously say one time, grab him by the domain name?
He did say that. When you're a star, they just let you grab them by the domain name.
Yeah. So don't get trumped. Don't get your domain name grabbed. It touched me, and I can't tell you where. We got another sponsor, and that's Bull Bitcoin, and where you could exchange like one of these. This is a Singapore, but imagine the Canadian version, even Mexican pesos, euros, a bunch of others. You could exchange that for Bitcoin, right? Like, that's what people want. People want Bitcoin, not this. But I do like this, by the way. Thank you very much to Wedge for the Singapore dollar. Bull Bitcoin, non-custodial. This is what you want in exchange. When you make your Bitcoin buy, you cannot facilitate it you cannot finalize it without providing a Bitcoin address. It may not be the right one, but at least you have to provide one in order for them to make the buy. They're not going to hold it onto your Bitcoin onto that. So that's the way you want from like others. They hold onto it. They could get rugged, stolen, hacked, whatever. Not Bull Bitcoin. Furthermore, you could buy gift cards. You could pay your bills. You could send money like e-transfer with your Bitcoin. All through Bull Bitcoin. You could buy on-chain. You could buy Lightning when fees are getting higher. They're not high yet, but you could still do that nonetheless. Check them out if you do want to open an account in Canada, in Mexico, in Costa Rica, Argentina, parts of Europe, and I have nowhere else Am I missing somewhere?
It's just everywhere the women are beautiful. Bull Bitcoin is there providing their services. Can't beat it. Is that a coincidence? We should ask the guys there. I'm not sure. I just want to also note, by the way, the only thing the Bull Bitcoin guys hate more than shitcoins is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Do you notice that in the group chat? They actually hate the Toronto Maple Leafs so much.
It's funny that there's such hatred for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's not like they've had some success.
No,
right? You're hating a franchise.
Free.
My dad moved to Canada the year that they won the cup. He never saw them win again. Right? You think of how long ago that is. Anyways, Bull Bitcoin, use our code below or link below to sign up. If you do that, all buys moving forward will be a little bit cheaper forever. You might as well do that.
Can't beat it. Bitcoin Conference 2025. If you haven't bought a ticket yet, why? It's in a month, 4 weeks from now. I'll be there. Len will not. Some of your other favorites will be there. Punter Jeff will be there. Lawrence Lepard will be there. Francis will be there. Huddle D will be there. He might not even be your favorite. I don't know, but he'll be there anyway. And we're all going to be there talking Bitcoin, getting to know each other, sharing a few drinks, sharing a few laughs. And I think focusing on the mission. I mean, last year we went through a bit of a, wasn't really a lull in price, but certainly not where we are now. And there's going to be a lot of talk, I think, about what should we be doing? You know, are we a political body? Are we a voting bloc? What are we? We've had politicians at the conference before, and this year, having seen the speakers list, it's leaking out slowly, by the way. You guys will be thrilled with some of the stuff that they're doing. No bullshit, all signal, can't beat it. So if you haven't picked up a ticket yet, you can grab one now. The conference agenda is out, Boomer says, which is great. So I'm looking forward to you guys seeing that and commenting in our chat and other places. So let's begin. Housekeeping. I have no idea what's going on Wednesday this week. I'll be on the couch. What are you going to be doing Wednesday this week?
I have an engagement in the evening, so I have nothing to do with CBP. It's already predefined for me.
So maybe I'll record a quick turn or something and put it out on Wednesday to get some feedback. I haven't decided if I'm going to record something on Charlie Kirk or not. I want to talk about it tonight, but yeah, a lot of things are being said and done and postulated around his assassination, but we have nothing planned for Wednesday. So I'll think about releasing something. I think I have a few things in the hopper anyways that I've recorded already. So maybe I'll put something out.
Well, Boost.
Yeah.
We have first AIBLE, and there's all A.I.B. So Able, I guess.
Yeah, it must be.
What is I don't know what the acronym would stand for. 100 sats. He says, loving the conviction and passion. Joey and Len are speaking with the last couple of ways. You can tell they really love this country. Thank you and God bless. And he does the prayer.
Do you know what someone told me? That the prayer hands are actually high five hands.
Oh, that is high fiving he's doing.
They look like prayer hands to me. I don't know.
That's
but
what
I appreciate. I appreciate the comment all the same. And I do think, much like I've talked about Mike Campbell, like really starting to show some teeth about a year and a half ago, I feel like we're going down the same road because, at least I won't speak for Len, because I do love this country and I love what it's provided me and my family. And I want my daughter to have an opportunity to grow up in a country like that. And what I see is that opportunity slipping away. And I prefer, especially with the platform, to say things and amplify messages that I think will contribute to making the country better long-term, even if there's a little pain along the way. And that's an important thing to remember, I think, if you're speaking to people, especially in a public venue.
Little panel on the way. This is not code for there's another one in the oven, right?
No. What did I say?
What did I say? Jeez, do we have another one coming?
I don't have another one in the oven. My wife is not prepared for a second one. My little one just started pulling herself up on everything. So the chaos here has truly begun at my house. Not to mention I've been laid up basically with the ACL surgery, right? Like I'm walking pretty good now, but for about 2 weeks, I was basically in a splint unless I was just bending my knee to keep it from completely turning into licorice. So,
and she's 10 months now, right?
10 months. Yeah. She was born in November last year.
Okay. Mo BTC Dick 500 sats, short and sweet. He says, RIP Charlie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What a week.
What a week.
Dallas Smith, 600 sats. This is a good one, Joey. They're all good ones, by the way. but this one for you more, I think so. It says, get your PAL, that's your firearms license, and reliable pump or semi-automatic shotgun. Otherwise, you're literally defenseless against anyone with a weapon. The dude who stopped the home invasion with a knife got lucky. And I have a friend, I played tennis and golf with him a lot, and I've played tennis with him this past weekend. He is a firearms holder, and I learned something new, Joey, about firearms.
Okay.
2.5 years ago, 2022 October, since then, nobody could buy a handgun in Canada. Did you know that?
I think
wasn't aware that was.
Yeah, there's some. I don't know if is it nobody? I thought it was some restrictions, but
there are some restrictions like police. Like it's very, very limited. But they stopped that. So the PAL, you could with that, then you could buy like rifle and like what do they call that? Long barrel,
long guns, hunting guns. Yeah.
But then you need the RPAL to get the access to those handguns and stuff. And since October 2022, if you wanted to buy one, you can't. So this guy has a lot of them, and he's like, they're useless. I can't sell them. I can't buy any more. The value is just, to me, that's basically it. So we got into a point where you can't arm yourself with a handgun unless you have to go underground. Unless I got it wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Paulie's in the chat saying the same thing.
You cannot buy or sell handguns anymore.
So yeah, Paulie, I trust Paulie if he says that and you say that. I think there's something to it. Yeah. I mean, it's incredibly disheartening. Story after story after story. Kids as young as 10 killing other people with weapons, and you, a law-abiding citizen, are told to bow down basically and not do anything. That won't last. I will tell you that will not last.
Jer 5,000 sats.
Bless you, Jer.
And he writes in very simply, pure signal. That's it.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
And last but not least, we have Bod Palmer from the Bugle News.
Rodeo.
40 hours per week. Writes in for 10,000 sats, by the way. Even more simple than the last one. Just writes Signal. That's it. Signal. Like the app.
Yeah.
Like what you get is Signal.
I appreciated those guys coming on last week. That was a fun show. We spoke for about 10 minutes after the show too about some other stuff, but those guys are, sort of humorous by nature, and they are doing some satire there, obviously, but smart. And as always, there's more than just a nugget of truth in jokes and satire. So keep that in mind when you're listening to the Bugle, and you should be listening to the Bugle as part of your 40 hours per week. Doctor recommended. So
yeah, I had a listen to that, and a couple of there's inaccuracies and misconceptions I think we should just address from that episode.
What about your boycott?
No, the boycott is what it is, right? I mean, you were saying that he lives rent-free in my head. I could assure you, Joey, I do not think about anybody unless it appears in front of me.
Did I say that? Did I say that during the show?
But the reality is, I think about somebody like David Bailey, and this is the honest truth. Like, as much as and the WNBA. That's how much I like. The only reason I would think about the WNBA is if it shows up like on my highlight reel, not my highlight, my timeline, or it's popped about in the chat. And it's the exact same thing with Bailey. You know what I've done with him and all his stuff? I've muted everything, and I've done it because I don't want his stuff polluting my timeline. I don't want him to get any benefit from getting another impression. So I just get rid of it, and it's just,
you don't want to propagate his spam. Is that another way?
I don't need to. And
as long as you don't go the Predator route, Predator, Predators.
And that's when I see it. When he talks about it, when he posts it, then it shows up. But if I don't get it, I don't think about it. Like, I could assure you, like, it's not living rent free. Do not think about the guy. I'm busy enough. I could barely think about the shit I should be doing. Never mind something like this.
True.
This guy's I'll say it. He's a piece of trash.
Oh,
regardless, is. He's a scammer, right? Like, he is. He's not against your opinion. I think he's bad for Bitcoin, and there's a reason why I boycotted it. Man.
Boomer in the chat is saying, I put it on the screen here for people who are listening on audio. Since no one goes to YouTube, I don't know why. Everyone listens on audio. I know guys who don't even listen to the CBP, but know that Len boycotted his own show because the Bitcoin Magazine guys came on.
Think about that. No, there's
Legend.
You know why I boycotted the show?
Did you have a couple of good tennis nights or something? You just needed an excuse? No?
No,
Okay.
man.
What?
I think, my personal opinion, that the guy is a scammer. The guy
Okay.
is out there to scam people, rare stats, all that bullshit, right? We built a platform here. We
Yeah.
built it from scratch. There was CBP 6 years ago. It's just meant that the guys in the States. Now, at least you could say it's something we built. I wouldn't want to bring a scammer on in a platform that we built to have that message brought to the forefront. It's diluting the product, right? It's why don't we just do like crappy JPEGs?
Why don't we start bringing on the people who email the show every week to get their CEO on?
Why don't we do like the what do they call it? The open mouth AI generated,
Yeah.
like why don't we do that? Because there's integrity, there's principle. And that's the reason why I boycotted. It's not because of this or that. That's it. Like the product is what I think it is, and I don't want to see it diluted to have a scammer, somebody that's out there to fucking take your money. How the fuck is one sat more rare than another? They're equally as fucking rare.
I get it. I continue to, my defense of that show is always going to be the same. That he was in the news at that time, and you and I had some disagreements on whether or not, we still do, on whether or not Bitcoin Magazine, I think broadly, has been good or bad for the space. And as well, I think I asked him some difficult questions. The first 15 minutes of that episode, I asked him some tough questions about UTXO, about a handful of other things. And I think it was important because, the other thing I wanted to see, and I'll say it, I don't think I've ever said this before, but I'll say it now. There was clearly some editorial tension at Bitcoin Magazine. I know Mark was the editor-in-chief there for a while, and obviously does not work with them anymore. But you can see what Mark is doing now, right? He's very I don't say anti-state, but he's anti.
Mark Goodwin, you mean, right?
Yeah, Goodwin. He's anti-state's the wrong word, but or the wrong phrase, but I'll use it anyway. And there's clearly a difference in opinion between him and Dave, and I thought that would make for good programming too, and I think it did. And I would love to and need to follow up with Mark, because I want to have him on again and just ask him, how do you feel now compared to, I don't know, a year ago, let's say, about Bitcoin Magazine, about what they've done since, about all these things. Be curious what he thinks. Now, by the way, you mentioned there that we're not using clickbait thumbnails, but
that's the way. I used the wrong term. Thank you.
Yeah, as you know, I've been experimenting with vidIQ because I think it's fun to do so. And oh my god, they won't let me download the image. This is a sign from God. We're never going to do clickbait here. Should we start talking about something that's actually relevant to the program? It's almost been 20 minutes. I don't know if we should.
I thought that was relevant because it's relevant to the last show. And the last thing I want to point out is that running the node, Joey. And
I know
you say that because it really depends. It doesn't make somebody a Bitcoiner or not Bitcoiner. It just depends where on their journey they are. Somebody new in this space, if they're not running a node, fuck you. They're not a Bitcoiner. They've suffered from the Streisand effect when we're looking at fiat. But but if somebody's been in it for a few years and they choose not to run it, and especially if they're running a show called the Canadian Bitcoiners, then it's a question: is that person really a fucking at the beginning of the show we hear that the only thing that's really secure is your self-custody Bitcoin, and even MSTR and stuff is potentially up for grabs. Are those buzzwords or it just fucking?
I don't know how these laughs managed to find the most difficult thing for me to defend for that soundbite.
I will help you. That's just give me back that fucking computer. I will put Windows on it. It will be the most.
I gotta get it to you.
Basic fucking setup, and just you're good to go. All you gotta do is just point your Sparrow to that. And you can just all these naysayers, you could tell them to fuck off because then you're running it at that point.
Where do you want to? Do you want to start with Bitcoin news, or do you want to start with Kirk?
No, we'll do the Bitcoin news because I think that we talked a lot about Bitcoin. Now we'll just pile it all in, and then we'll do the Kirk stuff later. And
sure.
I guess the first thing it's probably not the biggest news, but it's one I just want to bring up. There's these fake emails that are being thrown around by Blockstream, or at least appear coming from Blockstream, that are floating around. And in the emails, it's talking about you have to do an update to your Jade, the firmware updates required. And so if you're a Jade user out there and you get these emails, just disregard it. And if you're not a Jade user and you get these emails, disregard it as well. I would suggest potentially get a better device for signing your transactions. I'm looking at like a Seed Signer or a Cold Card, for instance. We trashed the Jade Plus not too long ago. I don't know if we trashed the Jade, but I'll trash it if I,
the Jade's it's a fine device, but it's like, you could do better, and it's expensive. I think one of the things we talked about was the price, right? The price is like basically the same as the Cold Card and you get a lot less, usability, features, all that stuff.
And it's coming from the guy Adam Back, that he's the guy running Blockstream. And you figured they would be releasing a product that is on par or better than CoinKite and their Cold Card, and their Q. But no, it's just not. It's, in my opinion, it's inferior to the Q and the Seed Signer and all that shit. I owned a Jade once. I dumped it, but anyways, going back to this email, I don't know how they got these email addresses, but there's email addresses out there that associate that particular email address to a Bitcoin owner, or at least one that has maybe a Jade owner as well. That's kind of concerning, because now you have this going out there and people know this. The $5 renter tax, they're going to be more prevalent. So I look at that, it's like, shit, man, people got these databases on people. You and I are here every week talking about Bitcoin, but you talk about that you don't have anything of your Bitcoin here at your house, and me, I never talk anywhere like where the fuck it is.
Yeah. So, I keep one wallet here that I use for like the fantasy league, but that's about it. And
it's only got a few 100,000 sats at most.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's like transitory. I would say that the Adam Back thing and the Jade thing, like, I know this is about Jade security, and yeah, you're right, you should abandon that wallet if you haven't already. But we've talked about Adam Back losing the plot and potentially also being in this like scammer class. I don't know if you saw it today, but Predator got a hold of the pre-IPO list of Nakamoto. You saw this? And Adam Back's on it for almost 10 million shares. He's among the heaviest hitters in the pre-IPO sale. This guy doesn't give a shit about Bitcoin, honestly. I think he's pro core as well, right? Fighting with Mechanic and others. Buying shares in Nakamoto, releasing hardware wallets that are inferior at the same price as stuff like Cold Card. And again, like, I just want to say, we have a relationship with Cold Card, but we're not in bed with Cold Card. Like, I use a Cold Card, Len uses a Cold Card. A lot of people listen to the show use a Cold Card, but we've never taken money from them. I don't have to say that. I could take money from any software or hardware wallet, go the Breedlove route where you're sitting on a lawn chair reading a script trying to talk to people about the iCoin wallet or whatever because they pay. And we get offers for shit like that with some frequency. We don't take them up because we don't think it's any better than the Cold Card. And, for guys like Adam Back to be releasing a product that is inferior and then, largely quiet about the security thing on top of that, it's a shame, man. It's a shame. That's a slay your heroes moment for me. The Nakamoto thing really does drive me nuts. So that's a bad one. There's a lot of names on that list, by the way. That's not even on the agenda today, but we could talk.
That came up just today from Predator.
Yeah, a couple hours ago. Yeah.
Now it's being asked by Torup, is Ledger better than Jade?
I don't know.
He says, I don't know. Now, that's a good question.
Man, the original Ledgers, I stand by this. The original Ledger Nano S is a fine device. It's a fine device. Like, you could plug that in and set up a key without any interface and do it, offline, right? Whatever offline means, you could do it offline. Now, you still need... No, actually, you don't even need it. You could use Sparrow for it as well. The problem with the newer Ledger devices is this Ledger Cloud Seed, the Recover feature. The wallets have tons of attack surface area because they refuse to just go Bitcoin only, blah, 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 blah. The newer the wallet with those guys, the worse off you are. But I think if you have a Ledger Nano S, we talked about this before. Yeah, you should probably move to something else. But if you don't have anything else or you can't afford anything else, like, don't worry too much about it. It's the newer ones though, like these, like the Stacks or whatever, the giant like passport size thing with the huge touchscreen that's like obviously a Bitcoin wallet. I would stay away from that personally. Yeah. And Boomer's saying the same thing. Like I really do think the software interface is the problem there.
I think the support for the S was stopped. Yeah, they first sunsetted in 2022.
Maybe
for the Nano S. So the Nano S Plus,
Mm-hmm.
I think, is what they're pushing right now, and it's getting support by the folks at Ledger. And so to go
what's
back
the
to
difference
the question,
do you have the feature list there, or is it like
off
it must
the
be
top,
new hardware?
I don't know. We talked about it before. This something I black holed this fucking thing. Like obviously, it's not something
good move.
You know what? Just to answer the question from Torup, to be honest, I'm gonna say it's a coin flip, which is better of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the ability to move to something better, definitely. The reason why I don't like the Ledger, you have to plug it in to a computer to make it work. That's how the data is sent over for
The
signing. I don't
interface,
like I like an air gap thing. And the Jade does have that, but how do you update the hardware? Sorry, the firmware in that?
I actually just looked at a Jade. I have a Jade, obviously. It's like sitting in a bowl of assorted things there behind the screen. So we're going to give it to a friend of mine. And when I reset it, it did want to do a hardware update. So it does it OTA through your phone, through Green Wallet. There you go. You might be able to plug it in and do it too, honestly. I don't know. But like,
I would like to have the feature of taking a SD card.
Obviously.
I like that. That's the cold card mentality I have. I don't know.
Just I think you're right about that. Like, I mean, obviously the air gap is like the sort of premium security model for Bitcoin wallets. Yeah. Agreed.
And that's what people should be looking at. The 100% air gap, when it's done properly, when your seeds are generated offline and you're doing the signing of the transaction on an air gap computer, and the computer, if it's clean, you are darn well sure that you're
untouchable. Yeah, you're untouchable.
Yeah, and that's where you want to be at. That's being a sovereign Bitcoiner. And let's just quickly go to the next topic, because we've been at this for almost half an hour. A few more topics to discuss. There was a milestone that was reached with BTC Pay this past week, Namecheap, and they're a company that is similar to Easy DNS, where they sell domains and web hosting.
Inferior,
yes, to Easy DNS. Nonetheless, that's the type of services that they offer. Well, they have done a payment using their very own BTC Pay server, server which they run and operate by themselves. The payment was approximately $2 million worth of Bitcoin that was done. That looks like somebody may have bought a very popular domain that was on sale, like a domain name like cats.com or where the fuck it may be. I don't it's probably not cats, but it's something like that, if you get my drift. But either way, the sale was facilitated through Namecheap's BTC Pay server. Mm-hmm. And to me, I find this to be fucking cool, because everyone could just send transaction. Like, I could send you Bitcoin if you provide me an address, Joey, but to do it like on a storefront where it generates addresses per invoice, I like that. I would imagine this was done through on-chain. I'm almost positive this was not done through Lightning. BTC Pay gives you the option to use Lightning or on-chain, but a $2 million-ish purchase with Lightning would just simply drain the channels in entirety. So it's not feasible through Lightning. So it's done through on-chain. That's just in a little bit. Anyways, it's good to see that this transaction was done in a way that didn't need any third party. It was done 100% by themselves. Essentially, they are their own bank. This gives lots of power to the merchant if we could show that this could be a medium of exchange, because fees that are going to be going to a bank for anybody that does these type of purchases is non-existent. Waiting for days for settlements, it's non-existent. Shit just works. I love seeing this. Bitcoin is a medium of exchange. That's all I got to say, because next story is going to talk about this more at length, I think.
I want to know the number, honestly. That's what I want to know.
Well, 2 million.
The domain. I want to know the domain.
And you see,
that's the big thing. Like I know we were talking to Mark about it a bit. There's no way to find out. So yeah, you got to imagine it's one of those one word like banger domains. The question is which one. Not sure. It's great that it's paid in Bitcoin though. I really like that.
I'm trying to see if I could find it.
It's nowhere. It's nowhere. Everyone is asking on Twitter. No one seems to have a lead on it.
No, I'm just trying to find it comparable. Anything like NFT.com, for instance, was sold for $2 million in 2021.
God, that's
Angel.com
a disastrous
was
investment.
That's terrible. Yeah.
Disastrous.
Angel.com, 2 million in 2021. So those are some comparables. But yeah, so you know what? Sitting on a domain name is a very lucrative business for some people if you can find the right one. So
Totally.
you know, use our EasyDNS referral code and fucking load up.
Stack domains. Stack domains.
Yeah. Just do a bunch, right? Because the first purchase is going to be half off. Anyways, so on the topic of using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, I think it's a good segue to this topic, which I think is the biggest one of the week, which the U.S. government is talking about making it more difficult for people out there that are using mixing services, maybe a little bit more than just that. And this was a report from Rage, and they're saying that digital assets like Bitcoin and, of course, shitcoins are going to get some love from the Patriot Act. And what is at stake here is the using or mixing of Bitcoin. And the government wants to modernize laws as it's trying to capture stuff like Bitcoin in its grasp. And specifically, they're talking about Section 311 of the Patriot Act, and that's to allow the Treasury to ban specific cryptocurrency transactions. And they say the inclusion of a mixer rule as a way to ban mixing services, and also the prohibiting the use of various privacy-preserving behaviors and software, like pooling funds, single-use wallets, like everybody's doing that, splitting transactions, and even delayed transfers. Like this is going to be, that's something they want to deal with. And
it's everything.
What could happen from all this, right? If they decide to go this and everybody honors this law, well, it could lead to more centralization, right? Because you're going to have more Bitcoin that is going to be handled by certain people, certain companies, the ones that have the blessing of the government. And also it's going to make surveillance easier, right? If they have more data, more information, and if it's the same few people that are dealing with it, this surveillance will be like we've never seen before in Bitcoin. Also, that you have the potential loss of fungibility. Why so? Because the government could impose, they're saying, a 2-year ban on financial institutions handling funds routed through mixers. So if a financial institution were to do that, they get a 2-year ban. The Bitcoin ends up wherever, probably gets flagged, and then it's going to be difficult to mix it or to add it to a wallet that has already transactions that make, you know what, it's this, I see it's going to just be making it more of a headache to use Bitcoin within the confines of the United States. And this will then be copied elsewhere. Europe is already doing their own thing, which is going to be pretty draconian. This is big fucking news, man. Big fucking news if this is reality.
It is reality, number one. And I think there's a tie-in here to the Kirk thing, in that the administration feels emboldened to restrict funding for organizations that it views as terrorist or domestic terrorist adjacent. Antifa comes to mind. Trump saying not 15 minutes before we started the show that he's planning on designating Antifa a terrorist organization. You're in big trouble here, I think. And you know, you and I have had our disagreements over the years about what it is we're supposed to be doing about political engagement in Bitcoin, and whether or not we should be sort of removing ourselves and quarantining with other Bitcoiners, or we should be using our resources and our time to engage with politicians to try and get sensible policy. It's still not a sure thing that any sensible policy will ever be enacted by any government, because at the end of the day, what is this thing? It's a threat. It's a threat. It's a threat to their monetary superiority. It's a threat to their monopoly on violence. It's a threat to everything. You know, police won't work for bad money. And so, you know, you run the risk of losing that, that arm, that capability if you're a government. Public servants won't work for bad money. And so you run the risk of losing your administration arm. And I don't think that people realize how big a deal this is, because it hasn't been widely discussed on Bitcoin Twitter. Instead, we're wasting our time talking about knots and core. And, you know, this is the thing that really should be a uniting call. I think that what you're going to see, though, Len, is this continued expansion of the Patriot Act to meet what they call modern threats. The Patriot Act is, you know, we can talk about Snowden and all this stuff. it borders on criminal. I think it might actually have been designated criminal in some respect by U.S. courts. But the idea that designation or public opinion about this is going to sway a government from, it trying to stop secret transactions, what it views to be secret or harmful transactions, it's just not going to happen. There's other stuff in here too, like banning all cryptocurrency transactions for non-U.S. jurisdictions. Coming back to the States, the thing that you and I do agree on, although we may not agree on the outcome, is that this game of whack-a-mole is an impossible one to win outright. You're always going to be a little bit behind what the tech can do. It's open source. And there's too many nodes, stuff like that. But the first time, it's one thing to grab somebody because they're running a mixing service and it's like money laundering or whatever. It's another thing entirely if someone gets nabbed under the Patriot Act for using a single transaction wallet. Like people will stop doing it. And that's when some of the Bitcoin ethos and mission truly dies. I don't know how you fix that. And there's gonna be a lot of people dancing on the grave of private Bitcoin transactions when and if this actually comes to fruition and succeeds. The only thing I can think of is that the government might just not have the wherewithal to actually pull this off at the level of the Fed, like the federal government. I should say, not the Federal Reserve, the federal government. But like I always say, it just takes one high profile case to really neuter the ambition of the rest of the community.
It's going to change your behavior with Bitcoin.
If the U.S. government says, if I was an American and the U.S. government said single-use wallets are now going to be viewed as terrorist, like going to be viewed as against the Patriot Act, then yeah, of course it would change my behavior. Yeah. That's the rational outcome.
And that would apply, I'm assuming, to, this is all hypothetical, by the way.
Of course. Yeah.
To a stack that's KYC'd.
Yes.
Something that's KYC freed. And hypothetically, if one has that, do you think that they would be worried or would they still just deal with it?
Yeah, they ought to be. They ought to be worried. Yeah.
Really? KYC free?
There's no such thing as truly KYC free. If you're using a bunch of self-funded, let's talk about Shoppers Drug Mart, post offices, right? Whatever. Okay. If there's a real push against single-use wallets, and the Canada Post people decide to give up, security footage or whatever from those days, or your bank decides to hand over, okay, well, this guy was taking out $500,000 in cash these days. What was he doing with it? My point, and I honestly do believe you're naive for thinking this is not true or not going to be the case. And I think a lot of Bitcoiners are in your boat. The government doesn't need to prove anything beyond like a reasonable doubt. There is no like, oh, you can't prove that it's mine. If they suspect it's yours, you're done. Your life becomes miserable. It's the process that is the punishment in a lot of these cases.
So the onus is on them to prove it, because that's
incorrect. It's not on them. The onus is on you to prove that it's not, and you can't.
No, you know what? Here it is. You're a murderer.
Yeah.
You murdered somebody.
Yeah.
You say, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. And I have to prove it. Here's how you murdered it. The person you murdered, how it was done.
Yeah.
And I have to go through the onus to prove you to be something. That's what it is. And for you to say no, that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all you got. I have to fucking prove it.
Yeah.
So to say it doesn't mean anything. You have to fucking prove it. Now, different ways one could purchase or accumulate Bitcoin that's KYC free. You could sell a service. You could sell a good. You can mine it.
Yeah.
There's a number of different ways. And Joey, and if you think that those could be like somehow tracked, I got to bridge to sell you, buddy, because there's no fucking way. KYC free done properly is KYC free. So in that case, I'm truly of the camp that you could do whatever the fuck you want with it, regardless, hypothetically, of these laws.
This is exactly the point I'm trying to make. That like you keep on saying they have to prove it. It's not a murder case. Like, do you know how the Patriot Act works? there's no requirement for them to ask for surveillance. There's no requirement to them to ask for data information on you. There's
then
no
you're
requirement.
guilty, regardless if you're innocent or not.
That's correct, sir.
So all it is you're guilty. So my
question is, do you want that attention by using a single-use wallet? And I think a lot of Bitcoiners, to take a phrase from the kids, don't want that smoke. And the idea that they're gonna give you due process. Like, have you heard of like Gitmo? Have you heard of like how many people arrested under the Patriot Act have you seen on trial on like court TV? 0, because they don't go through normal processes. The government, especially in the United States, is not interested in normal processes. They're not interested in any of this stuff. If they designate you a terrorist or they want to teach somebody a lesson or make an example out of you, they'll do it. Of course they'll do it. And like, I do appreciate that there's due process in a lot of other sort of facets of criminal law. And there may also be due process under the Patriot Act, but the government, like, I don't know. We have a fundamental disagreement here on what they have to do to make your life extremely difficult or put you in jail. And to me, it's like they just have to have a suspicion and they'll make sure that it gets done.
And that's it. Then there's nothing I could do, regardless if I have a stack or don't have a stack. I'm guilty as charged.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pay the price as a result of that. And that's fine. So if I can't change the end result, I'm just going to continually do what I do, because nothing I could do will change it. And that's, my fate is sealed. If that's the case, that is, okay. I'm changing nothing. Now the question is, where are people like Dennis Porter? Where are people like Cynthia Lummis?
We need Brad Mills. We need Brad Mills here.
He's the Canadian guy. So he's obviously not going to lobby the American government. But where is the Dennis Porters of the world?
Good question. It's a good question. I mean, Lummis, I think, has been proven.
I don't follow him. He's muted on my account. I can't see what the fuck he's up to. Does he pop up on your feed every so often? Yeah, for me, I
should ask him. Maybe it's time to bring him back on.
Drove me fucking nuts.
Yeah,
that's why
maybe it's time to bring him back on. And like, I see people in the chat saying like I'm tinfoil hatting, or like the CRA can't get, like they can't track your non-KYC sats. Like it's not, if you deal with the CRA, okay, it's like years and years sometimes. I remember when I went to teachers college in the US, it was like years and years of hassle with them about my RESP, about whether or not there was some tax refunds available to me because I went to the States or not. They were asking for money back. I was getting, I still remember this. My dad might remember it too. We got a big check from the CRA as a tax refund. And in the same batch of mail, there was a letter from the CRA asking for about half of that sum back as missed taxes on all this stuff, or like extra taxes on the RESP. I don't want to keep dwelling on this, but I think there's, if you look at Tornado Cash and Samurai and these other mixers, okay, I bet you if you went back in our archives, we had the same discussion. Like, well, you can't tell me that if I'm mixing, it's illegal because you don't know, who's running the coordinators or whatever. Like, they will figure it out, or they will die trying. And because they're not in the business of, like I said, they're not in the business of the appearance of weakness, for sure, more than anything else. Terrorism funding and criminal activity and money laundering, totally. Okay, it happens, whatever. But what they're not in the business of is weakness and looking weak. And so I think especially in the Bitcoin space, where people have gotten a little too big for their bridges online, someone will get made an example of. And it sucks to say. Like, obviously I hope it doesn't happen, but if I was a betting man, that's what I would bet on. And I bet you it happens inside of 3 years, let's say, if this passes in the next year.
So somebody that has a KYC free stack, they accuse them of, or whatever, of having a KYC free. There's no evidence to support that they have it. Just simply broad suspicion, and that person gets put into slammer. Is that really what I'm getting at? Is that the end result here?
I think it's gonna be a little more than broad suspicion. I think it's gonna be like either cash transactions or stuff said on a podcast or a tweet or a Discord chat or whatever.
So what I'm trying to get at, to go back what I said before, when it's KYC free, when it's truly KYC free, then you're not making those transactions those cash transactions. You're not bragging about it on Twitter. You're not bragging about it on a fucking podcast. Mm-hmm. It's simply off the radar. Now, again, somebody could we'll go back, the suspicion. They may suspect that you have it. Are you going to go to the slammer just from that suspicion of having and utilizing KYC free Bitcoin? And keep in mind, we're talking.
It's a risk.
KYC free
It's
Bitcoin.
a risk. It's a risk.
It's not a risk. I'm asking. You're going into Slammer. That's within 3 years. That person?
I think it's a risk. Yeah.
All right.
I think it's
all
a
right.
risk.
I'll take the no on this poly market. It's not going to happen. If somebody makes mistakes, absolutely. But when somebody makes the proper steps to ensure that it's truly KYC free, good fucking luck.
Do you think they go backwards? I think the big question is, will they go backwards and see one wallet transactions as suspicious? Like, is that a good place to start the surveillance, the monitoring? I don't know.
It can be. It could be a number of different things. It could be activities. It could be who you're hanging around. I'm sure they could log where your cell phone, where you're going and stuff. Like, there's lots of different things they could utilize to help identify if somebody's doing something that's suspicious.
Yeah. I keep on seeing comments in the chat about the CRA. The CRA is not going to do anything. The CRA is going to give names, and some other company will do this, by the way. CRA doesn't have to be competent. They just have to have a list of names. So that's another, I don't think that's a valid argument. The CRA is never going to learn chain analysis, but plenty of other companies claim to know, and there's precedent for using them, whether they're accurate or not.
Where it becomes more easier to do the chain analysis is when stuff is centralized.
Yeah.
Is when this stuff does happen, when you're forced to use a centralized body. And
totally agree.
Then, yeah. But then that's just for the stack that's already been KYC'd. And as long as hypothetically, if somebody has 2 different stacks and they keep them as 2 different stacks and they utilize them like that, I would imagine that there may be suspicion, but like every Bitcoiner is going to be deemed to be suspicious. Anybody that has, right? So that everybody
should be deemed to be suspicious. We're both spending way too much time in our basements talking to each other on the internet. We gotta stop.
Hey, no, we have lots to talk about because the clown world is very clownish this week.
A lot of notable stories. Yeah.
I don't know. It's more so just a few big ones, but I guess we'll do one more before we go to the others. Because we talked about Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. I talked about BTC Pay. And we talked about the U.S. government and the Patriot Act. Now, this next one, the U.S. government looks like they're going to be giving the blessing to Tether because Tether spawned the USAT, and it's a new stable coin, and it's a U.S. only stable coin that is supposed to be 100% compliant with the Genius Lenny Poffo Act. And this means it's going to be backed by liquid assets. That's in order to be compliant with that act. You got to have liquid assets like US dollars, treasuries, and all that shit to cover whatever US AT and DT, or in this case, AT, that's going to be issued. They're hoping to have this scheduled for release sometime this year. And Bo Hines definitely is part of it. He is the former White House Crypto Council Executive Director. So he has connections with the White House, and he's the CEO of this project. And the aim is to be a U.S. regulated stablecoin, and I'm guessing a competitor to USDC. That's the only thing I could consider this is because, did we lose Joey or did we lose me? Ladies and gentlemen on the chat, let me know if it's me. You see? Oh, Joey's coming back. Okay.
Sorry, my mouse has those back and forth clickers on it.
I don't know if I left or you left. Either way, so it looks like this is going to be a contender against USDC. That's the way I look at it, because USDC seems to have the blessing of the government until now. Anchorage is one of the shareholders of this new venture, and also Cantor Fitzgerald will be serving as USAT's custodian.
You honestly can't make this shit up. Cantor Fitzgerald, you got these guys in the White House. Bo Hines, 29-year-old wonder kid, appeared on podcasts next to David Sachs, the crypto czar, leaves to work for Tether. They start their own stablecoin. They get sanctioned. They wrap it up in some American LLC with Mallers and these other guys. And by the way, we said this months ago when it happened. They're going to use this U.S. veil to put themselves on the map in America, because Tether proper is not able to be used in America, at least at the moment. And by the way, Len, what is this going to turn into? It's going to.
You say a CBDC?
Yeah, it's going to be a controlled currency. Yeah. CBDC maybe I think is starting to become a term that probably isn't accurately representing what we're seeing developed, but I think pragmatically the same. Yeah, what do you think?
Okay, I'll go with that.
We talked about like deputizing American companies to do things government wants to do, but it's at least in theory illegal for them to do it, especially in the States.
You know, I mean, I'm just a different note. Something I found interesting through all this, and I fucking totally forgot. You know where Tether, the company Tether, their head office, where they're located?
No.
El Salvador.
Hey, really? Eh?
You think they're kicking themselves for making that move? Like, you know what I mean? Like they gotta be looking shit. Should they be moving somewhere else? Anyways, that's just aside from this. I found this move, this USAT release the news in conjunction with the Patriot Act information we were just talking about. I found it to be really interesting. One on its own is interesting. Combined, man,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're talking centralizing transactions with Bitcoin, not centralized, at least trying to.
I agree, Len. I think you're correct. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I think it's coincidence. I don't think this was meant to be. I found it fucking interesting nonetheless. But this is fucking big news. I think this USAT stuff, but it's only for the U.S. within the U.S. borders, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious how that's going to work. So if you move it to somebody outside, it cannot be spent outside of United States. I'm guessing, right? Like you could take those keys with you to UK, but you can't spend them there. You can't use an exchange over there to transfer it over to something else. I'm guessing that's the way it's going to work.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is I'm maybe that's how it's going to be. It's like the only way to do a transaction or to have any business accept it, be it a goods or services or an exchange, it's got to be US based. I'm guessing.
There's going to be some rules and regs around it. I think you're right though. I think like to pretend that these are not related. I think it's incorrect. It's not about treasury demand. You know, it's a nice benefit, nice sort of secondary effect, but it's not about that. It's about centralization and control here, I believe. We just lost the Twitter feeds on StreamYard. StreamYard's been acting weird today. Me and Len were having some trouble with it before we started, and now we're having trouble with it again. I can't even see my own Twitter feed in the StreamYard options. So I don't know what happened there, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
You know what? I'm trying to take a look at it. It's slow. I'm trying to see Circle, CRCL.
Yeah.
It went up 7% today. I was expecting this to go down. In the past week, it's gone up. Yeah, it's up over the week too. Like this is funny. I would expect this news would have taken a bite out of Circle, but apparently not.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it's a competitor to Circle.
Of course, I think it obviously is. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, I believe that.
I'm just surprised that the markets didn't react the way it does.
Well,
one more story, or to cut it quits?
No, let's do one more. I would also note that like USDC, how many stable coins are going to exist on US soil?
Like regulated?
Yeah.
Looks like 2.
I think that's probably one too many. So who's going to take the cake here? I honestly, Len, even though they weren't the first mover in this case, I would not be betting against Tether here. There's only so much to make around. Tether's an international name.
Cantor Fitzgerald and Bo Hines.
You know, like they just the
aces up the sleeve for them.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably the case. You got guys leaving the administration and going to work there. Like presumably Hines could have chosen any crypto Bitcoin company to work at, and this is what he chose. Like, is that guy really going to hitch his wagon to a losing horse? I doubt it. So to me, it's like pretty obvious. If you're a Circle investor, I'd be thinking twice about that.
He could have went to work for the Swan.
We made him an offer. Wasn't as lucrative, but
I
would like to have him on. Yeah,
like that Swan publicly traded company.
Yeah,
I forget the ticker name for that, but it's just taking a fucking beating.
They all are, but yeah, Swans is especially a bit abysmal. I forget.
No, I think like MSTR has been pretty good.
MSTR is fine.
Yeah. So I think that's been relatively stable. But others, whatever. We'll do one more.
Sure.
Your choice. I'll give you the Nerd Miner, or we could talk about Argo. Your choice.
Argo is a bit of a snooze, but I mean, we could talk about it if you want. Do you care about any of this stuff, like Argo blockchain? It's a name we haven't mentioned Argo blockchain on this show in 3 years.
Yeah, there's a reason we don't talk much about miners in general.
Yeah.
No, there's a reason why I brought it up, and the story itself, you're right, it's dry, but you got to cut through it to get some meat from this. And so Argo is a publicly traded Bitcoin miner. In fact, it's one of the oldest publicly traded Bitcoin miners out there. But it's been going through some rough times for some years, and they're in discussion with a company by name of Growler Mining, and this is a privately held company that is US based, and Argo is a UK based company. So just for a little bit of information there. And to avoid going tits up, Argo is going to be getting Growler to step to the plate, and they're going to be giving them a lifeline to the tune of $7.5 billion as a
Not
loan.
billion, not billion. I don't see it as billion. I see it as million. Like it's nothing.
Well, the way this is what I get is that it's going to be, they need the liquidity immediately to keep everything from working, and the loan is not just a loan; it's going to be transferred to ownership later on, and they're going to be picking up a distressed asset for pennies in the dollar in that case. Right, like the way I'm looking at this now.
Anytime anyone says picking up a distressed asset, my eyebrows go up. Do yours also go up? I feel
this is what
like it should be going up.
So they're going to be getting Growler more equipment and more. They're going to grow their operation at a fraction of the cost that would normally. And not just that, this is the way things are going to be going with these publicly traded Bitcoin miners, and probably even privately ones. You're going to have consolidation. Is having a lot of these smaller ones just doesn't make sense. Hash rate goes up. It's going up significantly. We're at zettahash now, I think. Zettahash.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Words we can't pronounce. Exactly. I was about to say. That's how you know it's high. Yeah.
The price of Bitcoin has been it's been stable.
What is it? It's about $1.15, $1.14, $1.16, something like that. Yeah. For a
sounds
while now.
right. And so the cost for mining Bitcoin goes up. The returns for mining Bitcoin go down. It's going to be, the hash rate goes up, so the rewards go down. And when you're in a pool, and so it's just, you're going to have more consolidation in this space. And Argo being one of the oldest companies out there, they couldn't do it on their own. You're going to see a lot of this shit moving forward. And for better or for worse, this is what's going to happen. That's why I found the story to be kind of fascinating. Like the Argo story on its own, not so much, but when you pick at it, and this is probably going to be prevalent moving forward, I think that this is going to be a fun narrative to at least play out, right? To see stuff like this happen more.
Do you looking back at our old shows, you used to do the mining updates. Remember, we used to talk a lot. We used to talk a lot about not just miners, but whether or not there would be a lot of mergers and acquisitions in the space. And I think both of us, if you go back to those early days, I bet you we both thought there was going to be more than what we've seen so far. Been through basically 2 bear markets since we started the podcast, and there hasn't been any really huge, at least not reported on, public mining acquisitions, which is weird to me. Like, maybe those companies are more resilient than we gave them credit for. Certainly than I gave them credit for. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, some of them I thought it would be way more.
Yeah,
and you're right. 7.5 million. I confirmed that, not billion.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen it, right? I haven't really seen all that much of it. So there's an appetite to pick these things up on the cheap, but not really to consolidate. So, I don't know. Interesting. We were wrong about that. We were rarely wrong in the early days about stuff. Like I think the trend, directionally, some of the stuff we were saying, like we're pretty spot on. I think we were good with that. But this one we were wrong on. I wonder who could tell us why.
I think credit was still cheap enough.
Maybe
companies could still borrow.
Yeah, but could be right about that.
We're getting to the end of that cheap credit, and
for now, I mean, see what happens. The Fed is this week, right? I think the 15th.
It's 17th.
Or 17th. Yeah,
it's Wednesday.
Yeah, get hype. Live stream. We could live stream it, and then that way we have some content to put out that night. Live reaction, 9 a.m. coffee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, but if it's in the evening, I can't.
Coffee with Jerome. Whatever.
What time do they normally do it? Is it around?
I think they do it like 1, so we could maybe do it. I'll think about it. I might have physio at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. I don't remember now.
So
what
you
my
do it
schedule
while
is
you're
like.
doing the physio, while they're fucking stretching you out and stuff, and
Raising my leg. This is real physio. This is not, I have muscle pull. This is my one leg is like significantly smaller from being in a cast or splint for 2 weeks. Anyway, let's go to the notable stories.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on audio, hang with us. Or sorry, if you're on video, hang with us. If you're on audio, come back tomorrow for the back half where we discuss all the latest and notable news around the world, specifically Canada, obviously, since this is a Canadian show. So anyway, we'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves.
Don't be a cuck.
59:44 today. Kirk.
Man, that was longer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, we had a spirited debate there on a couple different topics, like always. This what makes the show good. I don't really have like a lot to say about Kirk. I was going to, I started writing this like monologue I was going to put out, and I think a couple of things come to mind for me about the whole Kirk thing when I think about what happened. I recommend people watch the video, the close-up video, the gruesome one, because you need like a tangible reminder of what it means to be somebody who speaks against the popular narrative. That's number one. Number two, there is no rationale for killing someone like this. Obviously, I don't have to tell our listeners that, but there are some people who are a little more left-leaning than I am who listen to this show, including friends and family of mine. No matter what that guy said, I don't care what he said. I don't care what you think he said about trans people, black people, women. I have not heard any comments that I find particularly egregious. Maybe I'm missing them. I admit that I'm not like a frequent viewer of Mr. Kirk's. But no matter what he said, he doesn't deserve that outcome. His kids don't deserve it. His wife doesn't deserve it. His family doesn't deserve it. There's just no excuse for that. And I think the third thing, and maybe the most important and the one that's most worth talking about, is I don't want to say we, because I don't think I have a home on the political right necessarily, but the political right can no longer reconcile with the left in any meaningful way, as far as policy, as far as governance, as far as anything from the flavor of cookies they buy at the store to, whether or not your daughter wearing a plaid shirt necessitates the, lopping off of her breasts at 8 years old. There's nothing these people agree on. And this is the natural outcome of divisive politics from divisive people. And I will just add that I think very critically, you and I are in content, and I think we've done a good job staying away from extreme content, and the channel's grown, albeit slowly, consistently. And we've been recognized by some pretty big names over the years and had some pretty nice opportunities afforded to us because of it. But if you look at content more broadly, what you see is a lot of sensationalism and divisiveness as by design. Guys like Piker and Ethan Klein and Barry Weiss and Rogan and others, well, they may view themselves correctly or incorrectly as moderates and as, purveyors of modern thought and 30,000 foot observers. They're appealing to audiences that are two things: fragmented and becoming more extreme. And what I mean by that is, if you look at someone like Hassan Piker, and actually Sam Hyde talked about this today, a guy I kind of like once in a while. He talked about this today, but this is in my notepad, my Evernote app. If you look at guys like Hassan Piker, Ethan Klein, and others, there's a need to entertain an audience that is more and more short on attention, demands more and more alignment ideologically, and the only way to meet the appetite of those people is to become more and more extreme. And so when Hassan Piker gets online and says, we have to let the blood of the capitalists soak the streets if they don't want to sell their homes, when Ethan Klein gets on TV and says that, we have to murder people who are against this war or that war, this defense or that defense, when guys like Gavin Newsom say, we have to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth. When people get on TV and call Trump a fascist, Hitler, people go on, television and say stuff about how he'll end democracy. The president, Biden, famously, he's a threat to democracy, threat to your family, threat to the American way. Like, none of these things are true. And a lot of people our age, Len, you and I are about 10 years apart. A lot of people our age can parse that information, but we're in the sweet spot. Me and you we remember a traditional news diet, and we remember a digital news diet. My parents can't do it. The kids that I coached can't do it. And I think the kids coming up now are going to have a hard time too. They're going to have a hard time metabolizing information in a way that's beneficial and productive for them, where they can make their own decisions. They're going to be slave to, my chair almost broke, slave to screens and YouTube shorts and clickbait and slop and all these things. And, why do I bring this up? I bring it up because, if you look at the kid who committed the shooting, allegedly committed the shooting. I mean, he hasn't been charged yet, I don't think. But if you look at the kid who committed the shooting, what do you see? You see a kid who went to school for trades, has a conservative family. His father was in the military, I believe. As the story goes, his father realized that his son had committed the crime, and his first call was to his pastor to talk to him about what the best course of action was and find some, get some spiritual guidance. Totally lost step in decision making these days. And for that kid to have a family like that, and a family that, you see liberal commentators saying, well, his entire family's Republican, he's the lone Democrat, how could this happen? Well, you're sort of giving up the game there a little bit. This kid was going to trade school and then decided to leave and go to this university in Utah. And in one semester went from, what I'll call a normal kid, average kid, to a political assassin on the back of what seems to be Discord chats, furry obsession, and maybe also some trans ideology sympathy. These things are unhealthy when unregulated. And I think there's a lot of reasons, people talk about what is the profile of a shooter in America. And it's the same thing all the time. It's men. Or I shouldn't say they almost never talk about how it's all men. They talk about the political stripe. They talk about online extremism and aggravation and radicalization. They talk about families. They talk about gun control. They talk about all these things. What they never talk about, though, Len, is how they're all men. And, whether they view themselves as men or would put male in their Tinder or Grindr or furry profile is a different story than what the reality is. I don't think we should be afraid of saying that anymore. The problem that we're having with shooters is that there's a crisis in masculinity more than anything. And like, when I look at what the sort of path this kid probably took is, it's a path that's normal for every kid in the Western world at this point. You have parents who, I'm not like this. I'm sure you're not like this. And then probably our listeners are not like this either, but I'll describe it anyway, because I do think this is the norm. You have parents who are too busy to really guide their kids, especially their male kids, in terms of how to develop a sense of male identity. There's a clear and obvious lack of positive male role models. And I will describe my own positive male role models here. I won't dance around this. I'm talking about males who are physically strong, mentally strong, not afraid to say the right thing, high T, leaders of families, decision makers, things of this nature. There's a lack of that. And while it was the case that when I was growing up, when I went to school, there was male teachers, and especially as I got older and through high school, the ratio of male to female teachers increased significantly. And so when I needed that guidance the most as a young man, I was able to get it from teachers and coaches and things like that. Now, you send your kid to daycare at, 1 year old, 2 years old, whatever, and they're around predominantly women. You need to hope those women are not radicalized by MSNBC, because let's face it, it's not kids watching CNN and NBC all day. It's their parents, right? And it's the teachers and it's the caregivers. So you got to hope that they're not radicalized. Then after that, you send them off to Estrogen Elementary down the street where all the teachers are women. You can go on, by the way, almost any Hamilton Wentworth District School Board Instagram page, probably any Toronto District School Board Instagram page, you name it. You pick your board all across the country, Catholic, public, private, doesn't matter. All the teachers are women. And the guys who are teaching there look like they're effeminate. It's a bunch of guys who look like they're weak. And no matter what you do, you're just not going to get the guidance you need as a young man in that environment. And what does that lead you to? It leads you to a set of feelings where the best thing you can do is be a victim. The prevalent way to get ahead is to find the thing that makes you weak and exploit it. And you don't exploit it by growing, a branch from that part of your tree and going against the grain and analyzing that weakness and making it a strength. What you do is you make sure that everyone else remembers you're weak and you don't let them advance either. And so you wind up with a bunch of kids, men especially, who are lacking the traits they need to become decision makers, to become conquerors, to become attractive to women, to become attractive to employers, to become attractive to all these different things. They become androgynous, not just in their sexuality, but in their manliness. And you can say whatever you want about, is it fair to criticize this kid in this way? I think it is. I think that there's a clear issue there with his gender identity, not in the way that the left would describe gender identity, but in the way that I would describe it. He doesn't know how to be a man. He doesn't know how to take a challenge head on. He doesn't know how to handle conflict, how to add value and become valuable to people and find value in others as a result, right? You can't identify value if you can't produce any yourself. That's my opinion. And so in the US and other Western nations, you have these problems. And you can tell me anything you want about Charlie Kirk demonizing trans people and, making it difficult for them to live or say the right things. The fact of the matter is, he was the only guy willing to talk about it with them on their turf. He's going to these colleges, he's going to public venues, he's on a podcast, he's speaking about it in a way that I think the left will find out the hard way was the moderate position. Because what you're not going to get is Charlie Kirk replaced by somebody less willing to discuss those things, okay? It's not going to be, you're not going to slide, toward the center or toward more moderation. You're going to slide toward Fuentes, you're going to slide toward Sam Hyde. If you've never watched Nick Fuentes' show, Nick Fuentes is right about a lot of things, but abrasive is too kind a word, in describing his style and his thoughts. Sam Hyde, same thing. If you watch Sam Hyde's video today, I recommend everyone watch it. It's like 40 minutes long, but it's worth it. Put it on the background. You're going to get worse. Now, the fear that you should have as a Canadian, Bitcoiner, American, whatever, is that now the libertarian stripe, and a lot of people seems to have disappeared. Guys like Nick Carter, and I would add myself to this group too. I have now a desire to see institutional power that happens to be in the control of the right for the moment, harnessed to destroy these left-leaning groups. I want to see Discord investigated. I want to see Reddit investigated. I want to see Blue Sky. By the way, Parler and Gab taken down from app stores for a 1/1 millionth of the content you see on Blue Sky since the Charlie Kirk assassination. I want to see people lose their jobs over this. I want to see people lose their relationships. I want to see people struggle and suffer and hurt for their feelings on the unnecessary, violent murder of a young father for his thoughts and his willingness to debate them. That's a dangerous place to be for us, for me specifically. I'll just talk about myself. I realize that giving the government this kind of power is a mistake. And yet the desire still is there, and it's burning very brightly inside me. And I said this to 100 people in the last 3 days, if not more, that we have to be measured in what we allow the government to do here. Because Trump talking about making Antifa a terrorist organization, while it may seem appealing on its face, is a bad idea. Trump talking about investigating people who are adjacent to this guy, people in his Discord chat, like that's a dicey idea too. And I don't know, what's going to come next, but I do think the next year, especially the midterms next year, where this will for sure be an election issue. Charlie Kirk's wife will for sure speak at the Republican convention in 2028, as will many others. There's something brewing in the States, and I'll just close with this and I'll pass it to you. whatever you think about America and whatever you think about Kirk and whatever you think about political violence, whether it's Luigi or this kid dressed up as a dragon on weekends, they need to make it through this over there. We talk on this show every week about the failures and shortcomings of once great nations, the cradle of some of the most important democratic values in Europe is failing, if it hasn't failed already. Here in Canada, we are on the brink of never being able to come back from what we started 100 years ago. And if America fails, there will be no more beacon, no more ideology, no more example for countries that need somewhere to look for what it can be to be a more free nation, to be a better nation, to be a united people, to have a tradition you can be proud of and one that's worth defending and is defended. If they fail, the whole world is in trouble. And so whether or not you agree with all this stuff or disagree or think I'm crazy or think that this is a necessary outcome for whatever reason, they have to make it. Because if they don't, we're all in trouble. And that's something that should be unpalatable to everybody, regardless of your political stripe. So anyway, thanks for indulging me there. What do you think about the Kirk thing?
I had no idea who he was before all this took place. You could have put him in a lineup of two people, and I would have a 50-50 chance to guess who he was.
He's kind of off our beaten path. I really only knew him from like memes where his face was shrunken down. That's where I really started to see a lot of him. But I've watched some of his stuff recently. But you are correct. I was not familiar with him either.
No idea who he was before all this took place. And to be entirely frank, I still don't know entirely who the fuck he is, because I didn't go down this rabbit hole to research who he is. But I have listened to some of his speeches. I have read a little bit of what he's written, and it may not capture entirely who he is. It seems like there's been a evolution of Charlie Kirk over the past while.
You talking like in the last week or the last like few years?
Few years.
Okay.
I don't think that things evolve that quickly with an individual, but either way, like I will say this, because for who he was, I don't entirely agree exactly 100% what he says. And before somebody bites my head off, I don't agree with anybody on this earth. 100%.
Exactly.
I have my own beliefs, and you know what? Some of them go against what Charlie Kirk says, but it doesn't mean you should go out and kill the guy, right? Because one thing I don't agree with is going up against an idea with bullets. That is not a solution. What we do have here, and it's not talked about a lot, is it seems like we have a psychological warfare that's being played out here. It's not a traditional war where you have the guns, the bombs, the bullets, all that shit. This is something a little bit different, and it's been going on for a very long time, Joey. And we could go back when Russia was invaded. When Ukraine was invaded by Russia. What was the immediate response to that? That was, I believe, in 2022 February. I could be wrong in my.
Yeah, I think it's 22.
Wimbledon took place, as it does every year in June. What was Wimbledon's response? This is the most prestigious tournament in tennis. They banned, for that year, 2022, Russian and Belarus players from playing in the tournament. Not for what they believed in, not for what they said, not for going to the front line and shooting guns in Ukraine, for simply being either Belarus or Russian, for having a Belarus passport and a Russian passport. This is the type of stuff that happened 100 years ago. We vilified people for this type of response. The same thing was done not too long ago, and still there's nothing being said about this. To show this stupidity of this, Joey, there's a breed of cats called a Russian blue. It's just a gray cat, very cute. I think I had one. I'm not sure exactly. She's either Russian blue or something else. Anyways, they banned this from cat competitions, right? It was the I forget the name of it, but the International Cat Federation, they banned Russian blues from entering those cat competitions for being judged. It's a fucking cat that just happens to have maybe been bred originally in Russia. How the fuck Why the fuck do you ban a cat from entering a competition? How fucking stupid is this? This is psychological warfare in full bloom right in front of us. And it's going on right now. If you go against the narrative of the day, right? If you don't want to get injected, you are what? You are against, air quote, the side. You know what I mean? You're against the fucking science, right? If you have an opposing viewpoint of Florida being underwater by the year 2015, and at the same time, the people that are in charge are buying up seaside or oceanside property, and you say that this shit's not going to happen, you are also against the fucking science, right? You want to go for a walk in the woods in Eastern Canada, and if you don't have a significant documentation to show your heritage, you are a fucking arsonist for wanting to go for a walk in the wood. Then it's becoming to a point where you can't even think a certain way. You know, case in point, universities and colleges, right? You go to a humanities or a social science class and you fucking raise your hand and you bring up an opposing viewpoint, you tell me what is going to be the response from that. Yeah, everybody knows what it's going to be. It's going to be just fucking brutal. And it's sad because growing up, I had a image, and even when attending, I had an image of what university is and was. It's gone. It's gone. Like, this is where you should be debating ideas. You should be having dialogue, where you should be advancing discussion, advancing science. Shit like this, it's not being done, right? What we have now, it's a fucking place of crime where somebody fucking died, shot. University of Utah, where the fuck it's called.
Utah. I don't know the name of the school, but it was in Utah. Yeah.
Now it's a crime scene, not a place where you fucking debate. It's a fucking crime scene. You have now this guy that's dead, his wife, widower, I don't know which one. His kids, 2 kids, no fucking father. Why? Because his ideas didn't jive with a few people. Maybe a lot of people. I don't know. But it's a group of folks didn't jive with. And then you have this sickening. You have people celebrating this, and they were on TikTok, they were on Instagram, they were fucking dancing, they were singing. You even had TMZ. I don't know if you saw this one when they announced it. You had people in the background fucking cheering. Teachers, doctors, professors, all stripes, airline pilots, all this shit fucking saying, this is a guy that just fucking had an idea and they fucking killed it. We had other famous people that were killed for ideas. JFK comes to mind, RFK, Martin Luther King, John Lennon. These are all people. Now, I'm not putting Kirk on the same level as these people, but the analogy, you could understand. You could kind of say, yeah, there's fucking something there. Why didn't we celebrate their deaths? Why didn't we dance on the grave of their deaths? Why are we doing it fucking now? Right? Like, it's fucking bullshit. I remember that guy, Brian Thompson, the CEO of God knows whatever the fuck is. And you were talking about Luigi. They make Luigi into a demigod. He killed somebody. Regardless, he did not kill anybody, Brian Thompson. At least it's very, very difficult to tell me that directly he killed somebody. But he died. You know, his kids are orphans, his wife, Ned. The Minnesota senator, her dog, and her husband died was it a political assassination or something? This happened just not too long ago, Joey, right? What the fuck is going on here in Canada? Oh, in the United States. What the fuck? And then you have now Charlie Kirk. It's almost like a Franz Ferdinand moment to me. It reminds me of that. And they say that was the spark that just started the World War I. There's a lot of other factors too. But you have to just go back. What's going on here? There's a fucking message, that they're just trying to jam down our throat. It's fucking brutal. And you have these 2 opposing sides, it looks like, and these opposing sides are now becoming more polar opposite, and they keep jamming the message, right? And one way to do it is you got to follow what? The money of all this, right? You got because if you have money, you could control guns, you could control might, you could control the message, and that's simple to do. Like, remember in The Simpsons? I don't remember if you remember this episode. when they went to a camp for the leader, the great leader, and they were like, "This guy's the best." Everybody bought into that. It was I think it was a joke on the Watchtower and the JWs, and everybody bought into it except for Homer. He was just too dumb to accept it. But they got to him. The Batman song, na 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 na, leader, na 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 na, and he's at the end. He's like, yeah, leader, he's the best. They got to him by that, just fucking drilling the same message over and over again. That's what it is. It's just simply brainwashing people with messages, and just it's the money, man. They when money is free, they could just do whatever they want. You pay for it through inflation, but the ones that create it, it's fucking free. That's the incentive here. It's fucking money. Because with force, you can only entice them for so long, but money for almost forever. And the stuff that you look at, what's going on, like I'm going to give you an example here of how stupid things are. You could have somebody born in Canada, Joey, and this person could be a visible minority. And they could be born here. They're educated here. They have all the Canadian values and everything, whatever the fuck that means. But they're essentially Canadian. They're just visible minority. Okay, that's person A. Person B, you have somebody from Europe. We'll say Moldova, Romania, Hungary, where the fuck? A white guy comes here through the regular channels. Not for refugee, but just immigrates here. English second language. He's a foreigner in a foreign country, which now he calls home. But by any metric you look at, this guy has a disadvantage because he didn't go to school here. English is not his first language. He's got no friends, family, all this shit. But if you talk to certain people, he's got the privilege that then the other person who was born here, went to school here, got everything here, needs to be propped up at the expense of the guy that came here from overseas. This doesn't make fucking sense. It's not a one-size-fit-all fucking thing. You have to measure things individually. And that's, people don't understand that, like, and I'm saying this now, man. If I say this in a public setting, Joey, like, who knows? Bullets may fucking fly.
Yeah.
That's a sad thing because I have ideas and maybe somebody doesn't like it. It just makes me ponder.
Think about some of the emails we used to get early on about some of the stuff we said on the show.
I memory hold that stuff.
People like tried to do a couple different things to us over the years. Remember that one guy who was like trying to dox us early on before we were like public? I'll remind you after the show. But like there's a lot of
it's Banana Republic level shit.
Yeah, yeah.
This is it. Remember 20 years ago-ish, George Bush made a lot of people angry.
Yeah.
Remember he was standing on a podium talking and some guy threw a fucking shoe at him?
Yeah.
That's what I want. I don't want fucking bullets. I want fucking shoes thrown at people. Because at least, hopefully, nobody would get hurt. Because, let's be honest, throwing a shoe, unless you're a fucking guy wearing heels, then, you know, Destiny throwing a fucking shoe might be a lethal weapon. But the reality is, it's not going to do the same type of damage as a bullet. That's what I fucking want. You want to piss... You want to say a message, do it in a way that's not going to injure somebody permanently. Throw it a fucking shoe. Mm-hmm. Throw it lightly at the very least. But you know what? All this is going to do, Joey, you say it's going to make people go... I'm saying two directions. It's either people are going to be like, I've had enough. I'm just going to shut down. Or I'm going to go balls to the wall. Right? Like, what do we do here at the CBP? Did you not ponder what the fuck are we going to do?
I don't know. I kind of thought about it. I mean,
right? The thought came through. You know what? It came to mind, but immediately it's like, I got at least a few good years left. Let's say maybe a few. I got a few years. Well, I'm not going to say good. At least a few years left. And I'm going to fucking see it to the fucking bitter. I'm going to fucking nowhere. For thick and thin, I'm going to stick through this. So Charlie Kirk, man, I feel sorry for him. Hopefully his death won't be forgotten.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are just pissed off from this, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
And
totally.
it's a psychological warfare, Joey. Don't wish for something, because then it's just going to advance the war even further. How did this happen?
What did Pablo say?
One guy get the fucking...
Pablo, Guillaume in the bull chat. We don't have to talk about things that are said in the bull chat, but Guillaume said, he's like, you have to be careful with the things that you allow yourself to think, because while you may not, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but basically, you know, while you may not think much of them in the moment, they do take a toll on you. There's a cumulative effect of the things you think and wish for and support, internally. What is your internal compass pointing you towards? You have to keep that thing clean, And you're right, Len. There is 2 directions you could go. You could go all in, or you could withdraw. I want to try and find a line between those, honestly, because I don't think withdrawing is a good idea, but
100%.
Yeah.
There may be a time it's required.
Yeah.
But for me right now, it's not.
No, I don't think so either.
And Pablo's saying about like what happened over there. Like there's something more. Like it's not a single guy was able. It seemed like the way they're framing this was a single guy was able to.
Really crazy. Yeah. So, okay, I was listening to No Agenda a bit before our show, which is a show people should listen to. And I hadn't heard this theory. The kid in the video that I saw a couple of days ago clearly is walking with a limp, it looks like, toward the school. And I guess the official story now is he was hiding his gun in his pants and up his shirt. So he had to like keep a straight leg. But there's no video of him walking with a limp on a staircase anywhere. There's no video of him like assembling the gun. I don't know. And like the question was about trans activism or trans shooters, and then Kirk got shot, and then another guy bends down with his hands up, and then a block away another guy is found walking the street with like a sort of thinly concealed long gun, turns out to be a BB gun. I don't know. You're in like this moment where everything is uncanny valley. Like it's believable, but not quite, or it's just not. There's something amiss all the time. I don't know. See, this is where you shouldn't go. This is what will keep you up at night.
No, well, Boom Dust is saying JFK vibes. They killed a fucking president.
Yeah.
And it was during a time, obviously nobody had cell phones and video footage like we have now, but still questions remain. A fucking sitting president was killed.
Yeah.
Elon Musk better have a top-notch security team because he's pissed off a lot of folks over the years.
I agree.
And we've said it before. I'm surprised he's still, man, like he's got to have a good security for it. And how many times did they say Trump was attempted twice last year? Is that right?
Yeah, the guy at the golf course was the second one where they found him in the bushes with a gun. Remember?
I totally forgot that. I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even why? You know what I mean? Like nobody for ideas deserves to get killed. If it's somebody, and I don't want to say anybody's deserving to get killed, but if somebody like Paul Bernardo, if something happened to him, I'm sure a lot of people would be dancing, and I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't get cancel culture as a result of that. But barring that, like I don't know anybody else that may not suffer the same type of,
It's been frustrating watching the media coverage of this. Like you only see it on Twitter because I don't watch TV for that reason, but it has been weird watching what seems to be like I don't even want to say seems to be. It's a coordinated effort to paint this guy as like some kind of misogynist, racist, bigot. Like you might like I said, you might disagree with him, but like the willingness to engage with people is becoming dangerous. Number one, like Destiny, a streamer, left-wing streamer, talking about how right-wingers need to be scared of dying every time they go out in public to talk like this because the message is too important or it's too hard, like it's too stupid, too harsh, too hateful, whatever. And they need to be afraid of dying. Like you could go through every media outlet, every major personality, Maddow, Olbermann, Destiny, Klein, Hassan Piker, Kara Swisher, Gavin Newsom, who's got a podcast now. By the way, Charlie Kirk appeared on his podcast. I want to note that. And hear them say stuff like, we have to neutralize the threat. Like, what? If you say it enough times, someone who is weak of mind and weak in spirit will submit to that request in a way that maybe you weren't intending, or maybe you were. I don't know. Just something to be aware of.
Very quick.
Brampton Hamilton.
The daycare
Yeah, I saw that. Of course.
The 70-year-old. I just wanted to okay, I'll just have to say what happened. In Richmond Hill last week, a car went through a daycare and killed one 18-month-old and injured a few other kids. 70-year-old dude, looks like may not be totally with understanding the signs over here because he needs a translator to understand the English language. I'm not sure if you saw images of the accident, but he went through the window and then he went through an interior wall. Like the guy fucking floored it through it. I'm not saying it was intentional, but he certainly didn't know how to fucking stop. And people like that are out there driving. I have a motorcycle and it's been quite some time since I've started it. I don't want to get on the roads with it. It just does not seem safe. So I'm certainly changing my driving habits and what I'm doing because there's too many people out there that just do not understand how to fucking drive.
Yeah.
And they have licenses. I don't know how the fuck they got them.
I know how they got them. Corruption from other newcomers. This guy's an Indian guy. He can't speak English. He needed a translator in the courtroom. 70 years old. I tweeted this. I'll say it on the show for people who don't follow me on Twitter. What is a 70-year-old Indian guy doing coming over to Canada? Is this helping our demographic issues? No. Is he working? Is he gainfully employed? No. Is he trying to assimilate? No. Is he using what can only be described as a scam or a corrupt, friend of his, probably another newcomer, to get a license? Yeah, he is. Of course. You can't pass a driving test without speaking English. The test is in English. The G1 test is in English. What are we talking about here? Now, the worst part is in the commentary around this on Twitter. What do you see? You see people talking about daycares need to have bollards up. No, the answer is you have to stop fucking retards from being able to drive of all stripes, of all colors, of all whatever. Ontario laid out today a blanket ban on a lot of trucking licenses. Boomer noting that there's more trucking schools than hospitals. Boomer, that's not true. It's more trucking schools than hospitals, universities, and something else combined in Canada or in Ontario. Like, how's that possible? How can that be? It's like you're getting scammed. When you bring people from a low trust society to Canada, like this is what happens. There will come a time when Canadians will have tired of this. And I don't know what the outcome will be at that time, but it's not going to be pretty. You're seeing this everywhere now, by the way. Australians are tweeting about their immigration issues. The UK tweeting about their immigration issues. Canada, obviously. Some places in America. Len, it's always the Indian immigration they're tweeting about. Like, I don't know what else needs to be said about this. I don't know. How many more kids are going to die? How many more, Indian gangs? How many more trucks destroying people's lives? What has to happen here? What is the answer? How much can these people be paying the decision makers to continue to allow this to be the case? And I'll just say again to Ben Rabideau and people who agreed with Ben when he was on the show talking about immigration is going to fall, blah, blah, blah. Did it fall? No, it didn't fall. It's getting worse.
All right, let's talk about the Brampton versus Hamilton man, brought to you by 256heat.com. This is where if you want to heat up a part of your home, be it a garage, weight room,
podcast room,
bedroom, whatever it may be. One way
you Bitcoiners, if you got to heat up your bedroom with a miner, you got work to do, okay? You got work to do.
Well, one way to heat it up is to simply go to 256heat.com, purchase one of the mining units, plug it into your wall, to your outlet. And it's not, you need the 240 volts. No, you can just plug it into 120 and away you go. And you're mining. And you can get upwards around 40 to 50 terahash per second.
Yeah, what's mine running at right now? I'll tell you. I'll pull up my Ocean.
Do you have one running behind you right now, by the way?
Runs all the time. It's running at 40 terahash right now. I will say that I finally managed to trip this panel that this is on. I was telling Len and Twan, I was running Civ 7 on this computer, max settings. I had that thing running behind me. My wife was away, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna run this thing hot all weekend, like really fucking hot. Finally, I managed to get the thing to trip the breaker. But I mean, we're doing streaming right now, and it's running behind me at
your mileage may vary when you will trip the breaker.
That's my breaker. My breaker is not your breaker. My mine is running at 1100 watts right now, so about as much as a pretty big chest freezer. Not too much, not too little, and it's quiet. I mean, you guys can't hear it. I can't hear it. So there you go.
So before it gets too cold,
and a bunch of you guys are buying them, by the way. Start buying them. To answer Boomer's question, I can see on Ocean, the last 5 minutes average was 37 terahash. So there you go.
So place the order before it gets too cold, and make sure you tell them that we sent you over there.
Yeah, definitely.
And with that, we could transition to the final segment of the show.
Okay.
The Hamilton versus Brampton man, or Brampton versus Hamilton man, depending on how you want to do it. The home games are going to be sent out momentarily, but until then, you can play along with us. And first up, we will talk about a gentleman who was going viral because he wanted to get his G2 and he tried to get it. Total of 11 times. 10 times he failed. And finally, at the 11th time, he managed to snag the G2.
Last spotted in a daycare or like a different guy?
I don't want to say where, but
dark
anyways,
dark joke. Sorry, too soon.
So there was a viral photo that was going around on Instagram and showing that he was a proud gentleman, and it captions with "Congratulations for clearing G2 road test in 11th attempt." And he showed it off like, "I am the $1 Singapore." And he added that the first attempts were with other driving examiners. So it looks like those 10 probably were legit. The 11th, maybe not. Most of the comments ripped this guy a new one, and they said, "Stay at home," warned one person. And another one said, "Don't go near this dude on the road." And another predicted that he'll be making headlines once again. And others are calling out the system, saying that there's problems with it, arguing that a person should not have the ability to go to get a driver's license multiple times. They said 3 times, and you're out. You should be disqualified after that. So that's story number 1. Dude got his G2 after 11 fucking times. Second story, we got a man that called 911.
Sorry, wait. Did you say this guy was on Instagram? He was on Instagram talking about it?
He posted it, and that image went viral.
Wow. Okay, sure.
That's how the news story picked it up.
Okay.
So second, we got this guy called 911 because he placed an order and he got cold burgers and fries from Hamilton, so according to police. And he was very unhappy because the meal from McDonald's was cold, and so he called 911 as a result. And officers came out and they said he was irate and he received a cold hamburger and fries after ordering them through Uber Eats, according to a spokesperson. Wondering if the guy that had the G2 11 times, maybe he was trying to wait to pass before he could actually deliver it. So it could be a tie into that first story. Anyways, it wasn't clear whether the restaurant or the food delivery service was to blame for the not so fast food, but the unsatisfactory customer was reminded that a cold meal was no reason for an emergency response. And police were pissed off at the fact that people are using this for more common things like this. And the McDonald's mix-up is not a good reason for people to do it. And this is a good lesson for people not to do it. He says it's by doing this, it takes up resources, ties up their lines, and it makes more difficult for people with serious emergencies to get through to dispatchers. Should be for life and death, not for cold burgers. So we got the 911 for the cold hamburger and fries. And we have 11 attempts to get.
I mean, I gotta think that the Brampton guy is the 11 attempts at the driver's license. What I can't believe is he posted it on Instagram.
Where else? Like
whose account? I'm trying to figure out like the logistics here. So the driving school that helped him pass was the one who posted it, or he posted it?
He was a proud individual. I achieved my G2.
Do you have a link? Do you have a link to this? Can we put this up on the screen? Can we view this together?
Yeah, I can send it. So
put it up.
You are correct. I'll send it to you in the private, and you can post it here. So
okay, hold on. Let's see. We're going long here, but I mean, whatever. Who cares?
So yeah, you're correct. So it is the Brampton man got his G2 after 11 attempts.
Come on, man. Come on. Are you fucking kidding me? Hey, where's the post? Can I not see the post? Viral photo.
No,
Here we go. No, I can see it. I can see it. Instagram.
You can open it up.
I'm gonna log into my Instagram. I just don't want to make sure that it doesn't show my my login if I sign in here. Not now.
So get this guy on the show.
This is actually nuts.
Since you have Instagram, I don't. Maybe you should reach out to him.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna against my better judgment here. I'm gonna share my Instagram screen. We're gonna watch this together. This is gonna be fucking great. Is this a video? No, it's not a video. But I'm still gonna put it up. Hold on. It says Brampton Man in the title of the fucking article. Oh my god. Okay, here's the.
I search for this shit.
Here's the. Brampton Man goes viral after passing his G2 test. Congratulations for clearing G2 road test in 11th attempt. Oh my god. These comments, Jesus Christ. This is nuts. Here it is.
You may want to blow it up if you can.
I'll try. Hold on. Let's see. Can I just make this? Can I make that the full screen? Yeah, I can. There we go. Does that help? I think people watch this in full screen anyway. It's small for us because we're watching on the little screen.
Control and scroll up on the mouse. I think that makes it bigger. Yeah.
This is nuts. Like, we need this guy's name. Do we not?
He's got it at the top, right? Isn't that him or no?
Who? Six Strip TV? No, that's not him.
No, it's not.
That's so dangerous. Like, what is the point of having that allowed?
There's no limits. You just keep going until you find the right set of answers to satisfy it. Oh, it's a road test.
Road test for G2. Yeah, road test for G2.
Yeah. So
I failed my G2 the first time, by the way. Or not my G2, my G test. I failed my G test the first time. Yeah. I was trying to turn
I'm old enough I didn't have to go through that.
Wow, lucky. Graduated licensing is a lot of fun. What a cash grab too. You have to
I did that for my motorcycle license. I did that.
Yeah, sure.
Graduated for it. But for the G now, I just was
lucky because it's a cash grab. Anyway, that's it for tonight. God bless you. We may or may not see you Wednesday. We'll see, but we'll eventually see you again. Could be next Monday. We'll talk. In the meantime, take care of yourselves.
Stay off the road.